Welcome, my friends, this morning. Welcome to a thought in Jesus concerning the religious, okay? Concerning healing, concerning God. Now, if you look into the scriptures here in John 5, I think it's pretty clear that there's some character examples to look into. That's important. And there was some people here that I want to set a scene for, that if you want to see confrontations that Jesus ran into, look at these. Because there was a man at the pool of Bethesda that was 38 years in need of healing. And there was the religious system that was there, and they also was in the need of healing and wholeness. And Jesus had a confrontation. He come in contact with these people, and what happened was pretty amazing. And if you see it, you can look into it personally, read the chapter, pray about it, and seek God. You'll see that the things here that applied in those days are still available for us today, and the principles are the same. I love the scripture, how it lays down everything that keeps us in perspective the way that it should be. Anyway, chapter 5 of the book of John. Now, after the feast of the Jews, Jesus went up to Jerusalem, and he was at this certain place. And at this place, right here in verse 3, it says, And there was laid a great multitude of sick people, blind, lame, paralyzed. They were waiting for the stirring of the water, because an angel would come down at a certain time and to the pool and stir the waters. And then the first person who stepped in to the stirred water was made whole of any kind of disease that he had. Yeah. Now there was a certain man there that had an infirmity for 38 years. And when Jesus saw him laying there, he knew he had already been in that condition a long time, and he said to him, "Do you want to be made whole?" Oh yeah. Not many of us do, huh? If you've had a long time illness, you know what this is all about. But look at the thing here. This man, he said to Jesus, he says, "Sir, when I go to step into the pool, someone steps in before me." I mean, he's probably pretty ill, pretty lame, or pretty paralyzed, or whatever. He couldn't get into the pool first, so he never got his healing. All he went there to do is he went there because he knew there was healing. Okay, he thought there was healing, but he couldn't be first into the pool ever. Somebody always stepped in before him, and there's nothing more disappointing than looking to religion, my friends, or something to bring healing, and everybody gets it and you don't. Yeah, big disappointment. Okay. Jesus said to this man, "Do you want to be made whole?" And the guy says what he did to Jesus. And Jesus says, "Rise up, take you up your bed and walk." And immediately the man was made well. But the big thing here that I want to say, and on the day that he was made well was the Sabbath day. This is a big thing. This is a big thing that religion does. But first, let's talk about what the gentleman was like. First, the illness had put him in a position where he may have not been looking to God anymore. Maybe so. But when people get in before you, it causes problems. Okay? Because it seems like they get something that you don't. And that's what religion always does. It makes you feel less instead of better. But look at the grace of God right here as Jesus began to tell him, "Do you want to?" And he first he gives an excuse. See, Jesus supersedes excuses. Okay, I've been in 38 years. And that doesn't make the difference. If Jesus speaks the word over you, you'll be healed, and you can't quit. I mean, it just happens. And he did. And then it was Jesus' same word of healing that told him to pick up his bed on the Sabbath and walk. That caused problems because Immediately when the Jews seen him walking, they said, "What are you doing, carrying your bed on the Sabbath?" He said, "Well, he that made me well told me, take up your bed and walk." And so they had a fit. And I want you to see the difference here that the man had, the religious had, and the vision that Jesus had, and his word. Okay, he did what God always does. He brings life and health and well-being to people, and religion will never do that for you. I'm not talking about good pastors, okay, good churches, a lot of good churches in there. I'm talking about religion, a repetitious thing that never has life in it. There's a lot of religion out there, my friends. Don't get bogged down in that, because they always want to bring you in control in their rules. They always want to keep you in subjection, and they always want to keep you moving in a certain direction. There's no there's no liberty in religion, my friend, and if you're caught in that, you probably find yourself frustrated because they told him, "Hey, you can't be made well on the Sabbath. That's not legal." Well, Jesus supersedes that, I think, yeah. And it shows you one thing about what grace does for you, huh? And what the law, the legalism did for them. Yeah. And so they confronted Jesus. And Jesus says, "Look, my Father's working until now, and I will too, regardless of what you guys say." And my friends, if you're going to grow in Jesus, you're going to have to get past the religious. Sorry to say that. They will be your first opponent that you'll have to deal with, and maybe your last. But nevertheless, you have to deal with religion all the way through your Christian life, because they always want to bring you into subjection. They always challenge the work of God. They always challenge Jesus. And instead of bringing restoration, okay, they always want to bring ruin and condemnation. And Jesus did just the opposite of that. And then he brought them about. If you read the rest of John, especially verses 21 and following, you'll see about the judgment. We talked about that in another case. And then if you read 36 following, you'll see the witness that God gives. Now, the miracles were a witness because the Father backed what Jesus said. Whatever he said, the Father backed. Not like religion. Whatever religion says is never backed. It's only backed by control, by dogma. Yeah. But I hate to tell you this, but many times using the same scriptures. And that's why it's important to seek God about these things, so that you know how to step into the pool instead of step into the yeah, it's there. And so the religious and their opposition to Jesus, and that's what these series is about, is to see how Jesus did it. He says, "You guys search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life." I've been that way before, yeah, because that's where I put my faith. Yeah. "And these are they which testify of me." Yeah, that's a witness. They do testify of Jesus. "But you're not willing to come unto me, that you might have life." You don't receive honor from God. You receive it from man. And you'll notice that about religion, there's always a bunch of pride in it because of control, my friends. There's always a bunch of pride in it because of doubt and unbelief. And if you don't fall into the system, then how can they manage you? This is the way it goes. And how could they get all your money? Yeah. Don't go there, my friends. Find life. Find Jesus. And look at the confrontation Jesus had with him. Oh, read this for yourself. I'm almost out of time for this short 10 minutes. But Jesus had this confrontation with them, and they got so mad at him because he challenged everything they were about, including what they stood on. And when his word superseded their word, when his miracle superseded their law, when everything about Jesus is better, they still couldn't receive the witness. And so it is with religion today. My friend, people don't want to believe. They want to be empowered. They want to be in control. They want to make money off of you. Religion's got some bad stuff in it, my friends, and you got to watch your way because it'll come against you. And I'm not talking about good life that you find in good pastors and good churches around here. I'm a church goer to the max, okay? I'm talking about when it becomes a religious system. That's not what we're looking for. That does not bring life. Jesus does. So look at the confrontation for yourself so that you can do what Jesus did, so you could believe that God sent him, that God gave him this mission, so that you could believe that you can have life. Jesus had to tell him, look, there's condemnation in this world, right? When you don't believe, but there's life when you do believe. This was totally opposite of what they were teaching, but they just didn't believe, and they didn't want to believe. They wanted to stay in control. Oh, my friends, the control. We always got to let the control, especially of other people, go. Did you notice how Jesus controls us? Well, sometimes it doesn't even seem like he's around. He is. He's allowing you to make choices. He allows you to look into the scriptures yourself and to seek him and to ask him and to find your way through these things personally. And this is a good thing and a beautiful thing about God. Look at the confrontation Jesus had with them. This man that was bound 38 years was freed. The religious people that were there, they not only were not freed, they eventually come around to crucify Jesus. They fell into the plan, but we don't want to be that kind of person, my friends. We don't want to find ourselves in a religious system where we're so structured, okay, that life doesn't flow anymore, that love doesn't prevail. Yeah, if you really love people, you'd be walking around like Jesus. I want to see the well-being for people. Even if they've been bound 38 years, there's no limit to what God can't do. Okay. And there is one last thing I want to say. Jesus told this man, go. And said, no more. At least the worst thing fall upon you. And I heard so much stuff about that. But you know what? It's the truth. It's the truth. Go. And don't follow the ways of craziness where sin does destruction to you. Neither follow the Jews in their religion, okay, or else you may find the very same thing. The religious leaders, not life, the religious. Anyway, look at the confrontation for yourself and see how Jesus wanted to save everybody as soon as he could. But some people believe and some people doubt. And that's the way it'll be your whole Christian life. And don't be moved by it. Just continue on like Jesus. And continue. He said, look, my Father's going to keep doing these things. So am I. I always do what the Father says. That's what I want before my last days. I'd like to lay my head down and say, I always do what the Father wants me to do because I love him. Okay, enough on this subject today. Enough of the chapter 5. We'll move on to another one, another confrontation next week. See you then.